Hi everybody, my name is Elsa Baumgartner and I'm the Participant Pool Coordinator here at the University of Mary Washington. The reason why you're watching this video today is because as a researcher, you're probably starting to get ready to put your survey up so that general psych students can participate and you can get data. So today I'm going to be talking about how to set up your study in SONA, the system we use that allows general psych students to sign up for studies and participate and get credit, and also how to link your Qualtrics survey, where your study probably is, to SONA so that everything links up and that students get credit and all of that goes well. So the first step you're going to want to do before we even get into SONA is you need to obtain IRB approval. That should be the first step you're working towards. You can't do anything else without it. So once you have IRB approval, make sure you hold on to that letter because you will need it when you submit for approval. I will need it to see that it actually has been approved. So hold on to that letter. The second thing I want to go over is specific language in your informed consent and debriefing forms for the survey that you're publishing. So I'm going to share my screen with you. All right, and under this document named Instructions for Creating an Online Study you can get from your professor, should be some very specific language that you can have in your informed consent on your survey and in your debriefing to make sure that tells students that even if they choose to withdraw, they still get credit because it's voluntary, and students that do choose to sign up for your study and actually don't want to participate or have their data still should get credit for participating. So here under informed consent, if you choose to withdraw from the study, you must still advance to the final page of the questionnaire to receive participation credit. If you close the survey without doing this, then you will not receive credit in the SONA system for your participation. So this lets them know they have to click through the entire study until the final page that says, I wish to withdraw my information, just so that they know that they can get participation points. And under debriefing, you should have a little section that says, to complete this study and receive credit from the SONA system for your participation, please make sure to click the next arrow button below. This should bring you back to the SONA homepage and ask them to sign in again so that they make sure that they got credit for actually going through your study. And if they don't, it tells them to email me so that I can figure out that problem. So make sure that you have that specific language in your informed consent in your debriefing. And now, once we know that, we can start looking at SONA. So how do we sign into SONA? You want to go to umw.sona-systems.com. So you're going to want to go into this quite a bit, so try to remember that address. It's also on the document. So you're going to come to this lovely login page here. And for your user ID, it's just going to be your normal UMW NIT ID, that first part of your UMW email address. So if my name was Fake Researcher, it would be F Research. The fun thing here is that your password is actually going to be the same thing as your user ID. So if my name is F Research, my password is also going to be F Research. It is not going to be the password I use for all of my other UMW sites like Canvas or email. It is going to be the same thing as my NET ID. Then I log in. The first thing you want to do when it actually logs in is change your password, because there's a little bit of a security issue there if your user ID and your password are the same. So go under my profile and go ahead and change your password. I'm not going to go over that. I think it's pretty straightforward. Then only one person on your research team needs to do this. Go ahead and go to Add New Study. Scroll down to Online External Studies, since we're all doing online studies this semester. Press continue, and then here we have lots of information that you can fill out about your study. I'm going to go over this in detail, but I have a study set up already just for the sake of time, so this video isn't too long. So under my studies, we'll have your studies that you put up once you have them set up. So I have a study here that I used for my research methods group last year, benevolent sexism and indirect aggression. Go ahead and click on that. And if you ever need to make any edits on your study, go ahead and to study menu, scroll down to change study information. This will be after you set it up for the first time, of course. So here we are back at that study home page information center. So the first thing you want to do is name your study, and that should be pretty straightforward. Under brief abstract, just have a sentence about what the study is about without giving too much away, and without being too specific. And under detailed description, tell the participants what will be expected of them. For example, here I have, you'll be asked to proofread statements and asked to complete a survey about yourself. You'll be asked to complete a word assignment task. So the key here is to make sure you're not being too specific. You don't want to give away your variables. You also don't want to be too vague, and you don't want to straight out lie to them and tell them something that's completely unrelated to your study, because that would just not have them informed at all. So the key here is just look at what you used in your IRB proposal. The IRB proposal was approved, otherwise you wouldn't be doing this. So you got this. Just use the IRB proposal language here, and that should be good. Just make sure that you're not, it's a fine balance, I know, but make sure that you're not giving away too much. Make sure they also know what's expected of them. So really focus on like the task-oriented details. And then under eligibility requirements, it's just what it sounds like, what you need to have or be in order to participate. For example, in my study, everyone who participated had to identify as female. Under duration, should just how many minutes it's going to be. It's going to be in segments of 30 minutes. So anything ranging from 0 to 30 minutes will just round up to 30 minutes. Anything ranging from 30 to an hour is going to round up to an hour. And every 30 minutes of duration is going to equate 0.5 credits that participants will get from participating in your survey. So duration here is 30 minutes, they're going to get 0.5 credits. If it was 45 minutes, you would get 1 credit, because we round up to 1 credit. So preparation, you don't really need this for online studies unless you want them to do something before they participate. Go ahead and click over your researchers. So we have fake researcher here. Principal investigator, you can select from your drop-down menu professor. You don't need an IRB approval code. It's not approved yet, so you don't have to work on that. Active study, make sure this is yes, and do not click Save Changes quite yet. We're going to scroll down to Advanced Settings. And under Advanced Settings, we don't need to worry about this, because I don't think any of you are going to have studies where the participants have to have participated in a different study before participating in yours. So you can go ahead and scroll past this. There should be no course restrictions, so keep that at all courses. There shouldn't necessarily be an invitation code, so just go ahead and skip this. Now for the fun part. Once you get to study URL, this is when we're going to go to Qualtrics. So go ahead and log into Qualtrics. I already have here, and go ahead and click on the survey that you're working on that you want to put onto SONA. So we have benevolent sexism and indirect aggression. We want to put the Qualtrics link on SONA under that study URL section. So how do we do this? We go to distributions. That's probably the easiest part with Qualtrics. Go to anonymous link, and we copy that link address, go back, and I already have it here, but I'm going to just do it again for this example, and paste. However, you're not done right after you paste this link. This is a very crucial part. You need to add a little bit of code. The code is !id =. This is also on the document, so if you don't remember everything I say, don't worry. %, capital survey, -code, %. If you don't have this little piece of code, this !id %, participants will not automatically receive credit. And so we'll have a lot of participants who participate in your study and they won't get credit, and we'll have a lot of angry participants. So make sure that you add that. That's a crucial step. Make sure that that's in there. And that's not something you copy and paste. That's a generated thing. All right. So if we scroll down again, we don't want to display our study URL. There's really no need. The participant sign-up deadline should be kept at about 0. So you can let people sign up as close to the start date of your study as you want. There's no point in having it anything besides 0 for an online study. Should researchers receive an email notification when a participant signs up? It's up to you. It's up to researcher preference. You can have people. For online studies, I notice that people tend to not want that. For in-person, it's a little bit more involved on the researcher end, so they want that information and that notification. But it's up to you. All right, and then you have shared comments and private comments, which is just comments you can write to your other researchers. This is all really researcher preference, so when you go in and add your own study, you can kind of think about what you want. So go ahead and save. This is an important step. Make sure you're saving your changes. Awesome, and so we're coming back to this home page of our study. We should have a home page set up. Now we're going to go back to Qualtrics to just work on linking our studies up to SONA from Qualtrics a little more. So back to Qualtrics. Now, this is going to be a little bit complicated. We need to configure the survey. We need to configure the study to accept the survey code number as an embedded data field named id. So this is an important step. And the way that we do this is we go to survey again. 1 second. We go to survey flow. And once we go to survey flow, I have it right here, but I'm going to show you how to do it. We're going to add a new element, embedded data, and we're going to write in lowercase letters id. We're going to press enter, and we have it. And I already have it at the top here, as you can see, set embedded data id. So I don't need it twice, but I wanted to show you for the example. And so I'm going to delete it. But make sure that you have set embedded data as id. And then go ahead and save the flow. Awesome. So if we go back to the study home page and we scroll down a little bit, under website, there should be a Qualtrics redirect to URL link. And so if we copy this link, I can select it, there we go. Copy this link, make sure it's the Qualtrics redirect to a URL and not the direct study link. It's very important. Go back to Qualtrics, go to survey options, scroll down to survey termination, and under redirect to a full URL, this is so that they're linked back to SONA once they're done completing the survey. I'm just going to delete that. Go ahead and paste that code, that link that we just got from SONA. All right, so this is just to make sure that everything is linked up nicely between Qualtrics and SONA. Go ahead and save. Awesome. All right. So we've set up our study. All of our information is here. We have linked Qualtrics, our survey, to SONA. The last step we need is to add a time slot. If there's no time slot, people cannot sign up for your study. So under study menu, go to view and administer time slots. And once that loads, we will see how to add a time slot. It's a little bit slow, I apologize. All right, so add a time slot. We only need to add one because it is an online study. If it were an in-person study, you'd want to have different days and different locations. But since it's an online study, you really only need one time slot where everybody can just take your study in, say, like 48 hours. So for example, the final participation date. So today is Wednesday, October 7th, while I'm filming this. If I wanted the final participation date to be 2 days from now, I would make this the 9th. That way, I give people 48 hours to complete this. So they can sign up until that time, that 9:30 a.m. on October 9th. And they have as much time as they want once they've signed up until that deadline. And make sure that you have the amount of participants you want. And just make sure that this is the same number as your professor is telling you to have, because every study is going to be a bit variable on this. It's only 100 for the sake of this example. So don't just copy what I'm doing. Just make sure that it's the number of participants you've discussed with your professor. Go ahead and add this time slot. Awesome, and now there's a time slot so that when people go in to sign up, they can view time slots and sign up for that time slot. It's all going to be the same one. It's going to be open for 100 participants to sign up for that time slot. Awesome, so now we have the study set up, we have Qualtrics linked up, we've got IRB language down, we have a time slot. The last thing we want to do is request for approval. So go back to our study information under study menu. And under here on study status, it says it's not visible to participants because it hasn't been approved yet because we've been working on it, right? So go ahead and press send request. Here we have the request approval document or page with a document. So You can write a message, you don't need to. I mean, I would appreciate a message if you want, but it's definitely not required. And you have to link up and add your IRB approval letter. Remember how at the beginning of this video I said, hold on to that IRB approval letter, you need it now. So go ahead and choose that file as like either a doc or a PDF. It doesn't really matter as long as it's in there. Go ahead and choose that file and link it up. Only one person, again, needs to do this from your group. Also, once you click send request, it won't give you a notification saying request sent. It will just look the same as it does now. So nothing will change. So make sure that you only press this button once. Just really click on it, because I will receive the approval request multiple times if you click this multiple times waiting for something to change on the page, because it won't. So just a few notes before we stop this video is make sure that everything in your Qualtrics survey is done and set and ready to go for sure before you link it up to SONA, because if you make any changes in Qualtrics, it will not necessarily automatically link up with SONA. So that would probably be bad if people were taking the wrong type of survey and something changed in your Qualtrics and that wasn't your hypothesis. So make sure that everything is 100% good to go in your Qualtrics before you link it up to SONA. Also, try not to change your time slots once you've set those up, and make sure to give yourself some time after you request for approval. For example, if you request for approval on Monday of a week, make sure that your study doesn't start collecting data until that Wednesday, because I need at least at most 48 hours to approve your study. So I will come back to you in 48 hours with questions or concerns or something I see that's wrong, so that you can fix your survey and your study. Or I will say, hey, you're approved and good to go. Your survey is live. Just make sure you're thinking ahead and giving yourself enough time. So don't change your time slot without contacting me first, because if participants have signed up after your study has been approved and is live, and you change your time slot, we'll have a lot of very confused participants and a lot of hullabaloo. So that is the overall view of how to link your Qualtrics survey to SONA and how to set up a survey on SONA. So that was a lot of information. Just rewatch this video if you didn't get it the first time, and look at that online instructions for setting up a study that I looked at earlier in the video to show you the informed consent language that you should be able to get from your professor. That has everything detailed out and listed and written so that you could just reference it and look at language that you need. And if you have any questions, feel free to email me. My email is ebaumga4@mail.umw.edu. It's also on that document as well. So hope you have fun with this, and good luck with your studies. Yeah, bye guys.